Welcome to this webinar on delivering healthy school meals in Glasgow. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm Jill Murray. I'm a Public Health Programme Manager at the Glasgow Centre for Population Health, and I'm also Chair of the Glasgow Food Policy Partnership, which is the cross-sectoral partnership that's responsible for the Glasgow City Food Plan. Last week was National School Meals Week, and you can find out more about that if you go on the Local Authority Caterers Association National School Meals Week website. This year's theme was on mindfulness, highlighting the important role that school meals play linked to children and young people's mental and physical well-being, along with academic achievement. During today's webinar is the latest in the webinar series that we started last year as part of the Glasgow City Food Plan. And to find out more about the Glasgow City Food Plan and the range of activities that it supports, and to see previous webinars, you can go to the Glasgow Food Policy Partnership website. You can also download our Good Food for Glasgow podcasts to learn more about different aspects of the Glasgow City Food Plan. During this session, there'll be two presentations, followed by a panel Q&A session. In Scotland, we're lucky that so many children are served preschool meals, and we want to highlight the hard work and thought that goes into that, particularly in Glasgow, where our nutritious school meals have won awards. So our first presentation is going to be about the school meal service in Glasgow. And Gillian Pagani is going to give us that first presentation. Gillian is the Operations Support Manager within the Facilities Management Department of Glasgow City Council. She's worked for the City Council for 28 years, but started her career in the private sector. Gillian comes from a long line of family members who have worked within the food and hotel industry for many generations. Her career, spanning over 40 years, has always had an element of food service, from high-end hotels to school food. Gillian now performs a leadership role within the council, and is also an active participant within 3 working groups to support the delivery of the Glasgow City Food Plan, and going forward will play a key role in the Good Food Nation plan for Glasgow. One of our proudest achievements was to participate within a team to achieve the Bronze Food for Life Award for Glasgow primary schools in 2021, and to expand that award to early years and ASL schools in 2024. Gillian is going to tell us more about the school meal service in Glasgow, including nutritional considerations and menu and recipe development. Gillian has had a few problems technically this morning in terms of comms, so she is going to be speaking to us via her phone, which is why she's got her phone up there, and because her audio is not working, and so she is going to be sharing her slides but speaking via phone, and if there is a problem with that, we have a plan B, so bear with us. But hopefully it all works, Gillian, so I'll pass over to you for your presentation. Thanks very much.
Good morning all, and bear with me. I hope you can hear me. We're going to take you through a whistle-stop journey of how we plan and implement the design and delivery of school meals in Glasgow. It's very much a collaborative approach and relies on support from our stakeholders, such as pupils, parents, our catering teams, and working partnerships with Food for Life, Assist, APSI, and the Glasgow Food Policy Partnership, to name a few. So we have 113 early years, 152 primary ESN, and we serve 37,000 fully compliant Food for Life meals per day. We also have to be aware of the Food and Drinking Scotland Regulations 2020. So our meals consist of elements produced in our central production unit, which is known as cook freeze, and items cooked within our production kitchens, and then they in turn export onto our import locations as well. So what do we have to consider when we have to implement our new menu? So the first starting point for us is we scrutinise the previous menu, and that provides a skeleton. So what we do is we leave on the popular items for children. That will change over the years as trends in the high street change as well. As I said, we have the skeleton of the menu, and then we populate with new items. We have to work with our suppliers to ensure that we get compliant products. So quite often there's some research and development. We're very lucky because of the volumes we can procure. We can work with suppliers to tweak recipes to make sure that they sit within the food and drink regs. One of the other things that we have to do at the moment, I'm sure we're all aware of food inflation, and we have to make sure that our costs are kept under control as well. So how do we do it? We develop recipes via cook freeze for our mass production, and we have partners who work with us. That Sue is one of the partners who works with us for the development of recipes for large-scale production. But we also have our kitchens, our catering managers, our very experienced catering managers, pilot new products and pilot recipes for us as well, and they can give us the real feedback from the pupils. So we cherish all the information we get back from pupils, and we listen to everything they say. If the pupils don't like a new product, they don't get it. We also attend pupil councils. So I personally attend twice per year the pupil councils. Each pupil council from Glasgow comes into our city chambers, and we do some updates, sort of like you asked, we did sessions. The last one we did was about menu design, etc. And I could go back and say, you asked for noodles or you asked for a katsu curry, and we've now got it on the menu. We also speak to parent councils as well. We can do that via Teams meetings, etc. Or I go out and actually meet on site with parent councils to take on board their comments as well regarding school meals. And we create working groups. So we have a Think Fresh group, which consists of catering managers, assistant catering managers, giving them about experience, etc. And they attend, a group of them attend the meetings, and then they take the information out to their fellow catering managers within their areas. We also are quite a big part of the Hands on Hungry Assist group as well, where that's interlocal authority. So we discuss about the new menus coming up, and we share innovations through suppliers, etc., because we don't all have the same suppliers. So we can pull together to have a new product developed as well. And amongst all that, we need a communications plan to ensure all our stakeholders are aware of our new menu as well. So who does it? So there's a myriad of stakeholders I'm sure you're aware of in school meals. That would be the caterers, the pupils, our colleagues, our suppliers, Glasgow City Food Plan colleagues, Apps and Assist colleagues, and we also collaborate with the joining authorities round about Glasgow as well to provide a bit of consistency. So when does it start? At least 6 months before we actually launch the menu, because of the volume of work involved in designing a new menu, with all the collaboration with the pupils to make sure we get what they want. It takes at least 6 months to start the plan. We have a process that we strictly follow for timelines, because as we're all aware, we're all busy and that can fall off. So we have a strict timeline that we have to ensure that we're ready to launch the new menus. The primary menu is launched in just after the Easter break, and the secondary menu is launched in August, and that gives us time. We do them separately to give us time to plan for the next menu coming up. And why do we do it? We need to ensure that the pupils want to eat food that we produce, but we also need to guide them on healthy, locally sourced seasonal choices that can be delicious as well. So I've touched on the regulations, the Food and Drink in Scotland Regulations 2020. This listed extensively the regulations apply, but to sum it up, at any time that a pupil is provided food within the education day and the 14 standards, we must ensure that we sit within the 14 standards set out. And additionally, we still utilise the Hungry for Success guidance, which was an integral part of our planning for the new menu as well, with all the guidance that Hungry for Success gave us. We have worked extensively with Knightswood Dance School pupils to provide a menu that supports their requirements as their athletes, but they're also residential, which puts a slightly different perspective on it. They are eating the lunches at lunchtime, but we also have to be very mindful that that is their evening meal, where they normally sit in home with their parents. So we work with them to get a menu that they enjoy, but also still is compliant. We actually have it's been a long process, but we've actually got to a place now where we've been so successful. There's too many popular choices actually on the menu at the moment, which is a lovely position to be in. Our team are brilliant, I have to say. And because they're so good and because of doing it for a substantial amount of time, we actually can offer support to our education colleagues, but we also can provide support to other local authorities as well in Scotland. As I touched on, we're a big part of the Hands-on Hungry group, which is other local authorities in Scotland, so that we can share our experiences, etc. As I touched on, we have 14 standards we must adhere to that govern the governs the frequency of items, the numbers of times that they can appear on the menu, and the portion sizes, such as it's 170 grams of red meat is the limit for 1 week. Of that 175 grams, 100 grams of it can only be processed, so that takes into consideration your burgers, your sausages, etc. We also we have the frequency for oily fish, and things like our puddings must be fruit-based. Glasgow made a decision quite a few years ago to withdraw puddings from the menu. We listened to our pupils and they wanted them back. Unfortunately, they have to be fruit-based, so it's things like Eve's pudding or pineapple upside down cake, etc. And the pupils are not quite on that journey yet to accept, so quite often they strip off the sponge and the bin fruit and stuff, but that's still a learning process for us, and we will be supporting pupils to try and enjoy the fruit element of the puddings as well. So our menus are analysed. As you can see, green is good. This is all the analysis that we do. So there's a daily analysis completed for the menu, but there's also a weekly analysis completed. And that can sometimes show that we have to move items around, etc., just to make sure we hit the right levels for nutrients, micronutrients, energy, etc. And energy is one of a lot of people find, we find it quite difficult to try and get the energy levels right. So we quite often see in our menus things like with crusty bread or with garlic bread, etc., and that's to enhance the energy levels. We also submit the analysis. So this analysis is done via a tool called Nutmeg. We also submit the analysis that you can see on the screen to the Health and Nutrition Inspectors, who are part of Education Scotland's HMI inspection team, and they then go ahead and they cross-check our calculations as well to ensure that we are hitting all the targets. I'm very lucky that we have a member of my team who's very good at this, and helps other local authorities as well, because sometimes things like free sugars, etc., can be a stumbling block. So this is one of the most integral parts of planning the menu, is making sure that we hit all the nutrition standards, and we like green. We also design menus to support cultural and ethical diets in Glasgow, and we support where possible. So we have our standard halal menu, we have a vegetarian menu, and we have a vegan menu as standard. Vegetarian and the vegan menus we are trying to now combine, so that we have a bit of continuity for our vegan pupils. What we have feedback from parents from vegan pupils is they want their children to eat a meal that looks like the standard menu. So we've taken all that on board, and we are trying to assimilate the vegetarian and vegan dishes so they comply with our vegan guidance. Additionally, we currently have 1,300 pupils that require medically referred diets. Some of these are very complex, some of them can have up to 5 elements. To ensure that pupils' safety, we have a strict medical diet policy and procedure in place to provide guidance for all involved. So that includes the parents, that includes the catering staff, it includes the teaching staff, and it also includes the pupil as well, so that we can ensure that they are absolutely safe. So this is our current menu. It is shared in multiple ways, such as the Fuels and landing page. It's tweeted on a weekly basis, and our education colleagues have various ways of contacting parents, and they also share it. And the pictorial menu is available via the online Parent Pay meal selection app as well. Additionally, we add D&D support initiatives such as the European Food Waste Reduction Day in September, and Broccoli Bill, who's our little guy you can see up at the top, was promoting great taste, don't waste. As you can see from the menu, we advise pupils they can eat as much soup, fruit, veg and bread as they want if they're still hungry, due to the main meal element being the same portion size for primary 1 to primary 7. So a primary 1 may not require as much as a primary 7 pupil, but they can fill up on that. We strive to procure our products within Scotland and the UK, and we're proud of our provenance map. I suppose this nicely links me to my colleague from Food for Life Scotland, Sue, who's going to take you through the journey Glasgow has been through to achieve our bronze award. Over to you, Sue.
Thanks very much, Gillian. So I'm Sue. I'm the Business Development Manager at Food for Life Scotland. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce Food for Life Served Here to you, also talk about what that means and also what it looks like in Glasgow as well. So firstly, for those of you that aren't aware of Food for Life Served Here, it's a programme of the Soil Association, and the Soil Association is a charity that was founded in 1946, and it works across the whole farming, forestry and food system. And our vision is to live in a world with good health in balance with nature and a safe climate. And the Soil Association operate a sustainable catering programme called Food for Life Served Here. It's the Food for Life Served Here Award. It's a UK-wide programme, and it runs mostly across schools and nurseries, but also other areas of the public and private sector, including nurseries, hospitals, care homes and visitor attractions. It was established by a school caterer over 20 years ago who wanted to see more good food on school plates, and that's food that was fresh, sustainable and cooked from scratch. And Food for Life has been operating in Scotland for about a decade. It's funded by Scottish Government to support local authorities across Scotland to put more local food on the table and serve fresh, healthy and sustainable meals in schools. And on the slide here, you can see the 3 statements that form our mission in Scotland, along with some pictures of the Glasgow catering team. And our mission at Food for Life Scotland is to make good food the easy choice for everyone, as we believe that good food holds the key to healthier people, a thriving economy and a greener environment. The Food for Life Served Here Award is a very well-respected sustainability credential, and it verifies the food on the plate to support caterers to demonstrate their commitment to climate, nature and health through the food purchased and served. There's 3 levels of awards. There's bronze, silver and gold. You can see the little logos on the left-hand side of the screen. It's a progressive framework of awards, and the entry-level bronze award acts as a baseline and focuses on fresh food cooked from scratch using seasonal and traceable ingredients. And then the silver and gold award rewards healthier menus and organic, local and ethically sourced food. It's designed to be a journey. It's independently inspected on an annual basis, and good food is at the basis of all of our menus at Food for Life Served Here. And good food and what it stands for is also at the heart of the government's recently launched Good Food Nation policy as well. So Glasgow have a Bronze Food for Life award, and as Gillian said, this was achieved in their primary schools in 2021, and they added all their early year sites in 2024. This is actually a really big deal because it delivers a huge impact in Glasgow, and Glasgow are the largest local authority in Scotland. And when you look at that annually, that's actually over 7 million Food for Life Served Here meals a year. So that's really, really impressive. So what does that actually look like within Glasgow? So the Bronze Award focuses on using freshly prepared food, seasonal and traceable ingredients, and ensuring animal welfare needs are met. So in total for the Bronze Award, there's 13 standards in total, focusing on serving healthy food prepared from fresh ingredients, sourcing environmentally sustainable and ethical foods such as free-range eggs and meat and fish, which satisfies UK welfare standards. And a Food for Life menu makes healthy eating easier using food free from undesirable additives, complies with the Scottish nutritional regulations, which Gillian's talked about, and also champions local food producers using seasonal Scottish produce. So what does that actually look like on the plate for Glasgow's diners? So one of the Food for Life Served Here standards is for menus to be seasonal and to highlight in-season produce for its diners. So seasonal produce is defined as fresh produce that can be produced outdoors in the UK at that time of year. It does include food grown in polytunnels, but not heated greenhouses. So Glasgow have a really great relationship with their produce supplier Malays. Macleay's. They work closely together to purchase UK produce when it's in season. All cooks in schools have Macleay's and Food for Life seasonality calendars to hand, so they know exactly what's in season. And staff have been trained to use seasonal ingredients in recipes like soup where they can. The advantages of eating in season can be seen on the slide, and where possible, caterers highlight what is in season to school stakeholders to help build a healthy food culture. And Macleay's and the Glasgow project coordinator, Angela, who works for Glasgow City Council, part of Julian's team, go into schools quite frequently showcasing seasonal ingredients so children are aware of what's in season and they get the opportunity to try lots of new produce as well, which is great. So here's an example on the screen of some of the seasonal Scottish ingredients that are used in Glasgow school meals. So you can see the supply that they use for their cauliflowers, their potatoes, their swedes, carrots, and their strawberries as well. So they work really, really closely with all these suppliers through Macleay's, which is amazing. So another of the Food for Life served here standards is provenance, and that means knowing where your food has come from and how it was produced. And this standard really encourages caterers to use local and Scottish food, which Glasgow do exceptionally well, and it encourages caterers to shout out and celebrate about what is being used. And Glasgow City Council do this using their provenance map on their website as well, which is really great. So seasonality and food provenance are really important messages to get out there to your school stakeholders so they can really understand the true impact of your menu from an economic and environmental reason as well. And Glasgow caterers are all aware of the Scottish ingredients they use on their menus, and I'm going to highlight some of these to you now, please. So firstly, all the milk that is used in Glasgow's menus is from Scotland. It's from Muller Dairies, and Muller operate Scotland's largest fresh milk dairy in Bells Hill, and its milk is supplied by over 230 Scottish dairy farmers. And quite a lot of the Glasgow schools have this little map on the right hand side in their dining areas as well to highlight that to the children, which is great. As well as the Scottish produce I covered when I was talking about seasonality from Macleay's, all the red meat that Glasgow buy from Macleay's is QMS Scotch beef, lamb or pork, and Macleay's source a lot of their meat from farms in Perthshire and Aviemore, and all of the meat is fully traceable from farm to plate. When you're looking about bread, all of the rolls and bread used in Glasgow school meals come from McGee's in Glasgow, and for nearly 90 years, 4 generations of the McGee's family bakers have proudly crafted quality fresh baked goods from Glasgow. So these are examples of the Glasgow school meals' impact on the health, the environment, and the local economy. So what does working with Food for Life mean? So local authorities that work with Food for Life served here benefit from lots of support from our team in these areas highlighted on the screen. Because of the nature of our team, we're quite a small team, we're very focused. We work in partnership with our award holders using the Food for Life served here award as a framework to support caterers' sustainable food practices. So we have a comms team that love to shout out about best practice in school meals. We have a data and impact manager as well, Callum, who can help make changes that are cost neutral and help with economies of scale. We do lots of really interactive staff training using lots of different activities. We have Lucy, our supply chain manager, and Lucy and Ezra, who help with menu development as well. So that's school meals, but I wanted to talk about some of the partnership working that happens in Glasgow around sustainable food. So Glasgow City Council declared a climate and ecological emergency in May 2019, and its expert working group made several key recommendations to steer the city towards carbon neutral goals. And these recommendations were presented as actions, but they cover a range of areas, but 3 of those main actions focus solely on good food in particular. And that's ways to increase the consumption of healthier and sustainable diets, to support more local food growing opportunities and shorter supply chains, and access to locally sourced food as well. So the Glasgow City Food Plan and the Food Growing Strategy have been further developed, and Glasgow is tackling these actions through partnership working coordinated by the Glasgow Food Policy Partnership and includes stakeholders such as Glasgow City Council. This supports the development of a food system that protects nature, reduces food miles, minimises waste, and promotes healthy, seasonal, and ethically sourced food available to all. Glasgow City Council are very active members of the partnership, are recently focused, and we did some work recently on the Full of Beans campaign, which you can see the little logo on the right-hand side of the screen, where we worked together to get more beans into Glasgow schools, and the Full of Beans team did lots of work with other outlets in the Glasgow City Council as well. Then coinciding with this sustainable food work happening in Glasgow, the Scottish Government have set out the Good Food Nation plan that most of you would have heard of. And that sets out ways in which the Scottish Government will work with businesses and organisations across society to help connect people to locally produced high quality food. And this plan covers everything from farm to fork and beyond, and draws together a range of different Scottish Government policies. But the main big ask for local authorities, such as Glasgow, is that they have an obligation to create local food plans and update government on these plans every 2 years. And this is where the relevance of the Glasgow Food Policy Partnership and Food for Life comes in, and everything all comes together. So where do school meals fit in here? So Glasgow School Meals Service continues to champion local produce, and suppliers, and it provides a really clear example of local sustainable economy in action. Having a Food for Life Bronze Award is a great framework to support Glasgow's climate goals and the Good Food Nation Bill. So from Food for Life Scotland, we just want to say well done Glasgow City Council for helping create a sustainable and healthy future for Glasgow's pupils.
Thank you so much, Sue. That was fabulous. A great run through from you both around school meals and the Food for Life award. So thank you very much. And thank you, Gillian, for so gallantly overcoming our technical problems and speaking on the phone. That was really helpful. And for Sue for just letting that pass and carry on as before. So that's been a really helpful run through for school meals. I'm not sure what the background of participants on the call today is, but I'm sure there's lots of questions that people will have about different aspects of that. So if you have a question, please pop it in the Q&A and our speakers today can answer them. And while people are thinking about their questions, I just wanted just a couple of, just to confirm, how many school meals do you serve a day, Gillian, in Glasgow schools?
37,000.
37,000. So that's a huge amount of meals, and quite a feat to have done that and achieved the Bronze Food for Life Award. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about the Full of Beans Award, Gillian, and what school meals have done. Sue mentioned a little bit about the Full of Beans campaign. Sue mentioned a little bit about the Full of Beans campaign, and I wonder if you could say a little bit about what the school meals contribution has been to that.
So we were invited, January this year, we were invited to participate in the Full of Beans campaign. And I suppose the first step that we did is we looked at our menu and we actually realised that we have quite a good proportion of beans on the menu, but it was all the regular, the lentil soup, baked beans, all that sort of stuff. So we then went through a stage of development where we spoke to, once again, our central production units. We spoke to our catering managers, but we also worked with Sue and the team at Food for Life. And one of the photographs you saw up in Sue's presentation was actually one of our senior managers participating in the development day. For many of our managers who participated in that day, which I think was about 20, a lot of them are quite as passionate about food as most people around this table, this virtual table. So some people were a bit reticent to taste some of the dishes. The feedback that we got from the reticent people was absolutely amazing. So one of the things that we're looking at now was, for many of them, the macaroni and cheese with butter beans in it. Could taste the difference. So we're actually now actively developing that recipe, etc., which is actually a benefit to large production because it stabilises the macaroni cheese in large production, etc. We then took the Full of Bean campaign out to secondary schools, etc., and sat down with secondary school pupils and said, okay, what is it you want? So things like Singapore noodles we developed. We do a Mexican bean wrap for the secondary pupils. So we're asking them to actively participate in our menu development now, tell us what they want to eat. And that has all come from the Full of Beans campaign. It has broadened our views, my team's views, especially on what we should be looking at as well going forwards, and testing bean recipes out for the pupils so that it becomes a natural part of our diet. I touched on it at the celebration event. I touched on that in Glasgow we have to do stuff by stealth. So when we're introducing something, we do it very slowly and very gradually. We're now starting to uncover the beans in recipes, so the pupils actually know that they're eating beans now rather than have them hidden. So you have your chili con carnes, etc. Kids are very accepting of that. When it's a Mexican chili, where the majority of the food in it is the beans with the tomato sauce, etc. So we're on that journey of now starting to uncover and be very vocal about what they're eating. So, you know, more than happy if anybody around this table has any more ideas of what we can do, more than happy to have discussions to see where else we can introduce further plant-based foods as well.
Great, thanks so much, Gillian. That's really helpful insight into how that Philippines work has happened within the school meal service. A few questions coming in now. One for you, Sue, and the questioner has asked, as Scottish Government are working towards all health boards and local authorities having good food nation plans. Food for Life are currently working with Glasgow City Council, but the questioner is asking if you would work with surrounding HSCPs if they required an organisation's input about school meals. Okay.
So we have two partnerships managers as part of our team. They are working with Food for Life award holders to help them with their food plan, but they're also working with in other areas as well. Part of our funding in Scotland is that we just don't work with just schools from the public sector. We work with lots of other areas out with the public sector as well, and we are really broadening our work to look at other and sort of health and social care elements as well. So we're starting to talk to hospitals and care homes that are local authority run. So we are definitely very much open for talking to everybody about Good Food Nation plans and speaking to everybody about Food for Life served here. So please get in touch. I think we'll be sharing our details at the end of the webinar as well. So I can see it's an anonymous attendee. So no, do please get in touch because we'd love to talk to you. My colleagues Margaret and Sarah are partnerships manager, and they they know the Good Food Nation plan like the back of their hands, and you know, and would be able to talk to help and support in any way that they're possible.
Great, thank you so much, Sue. That's really helpful. A couple of questions for Gillian, and Gillian, I'm going to give these both to you at the same time. So the questioner has asked what the uptake of school meals is currently. Now, you already said that was 37,000 meals a day, but I think this person might be looking for a percentage of pupils that take up school meals. And I'm anticipating that there will be two parts or maybe three parts to that. There is the uptake of free school meals for the up to primary 5s, then there's the primary 6 and 7s, and then there's the secondary school meals, and they're probably slightly different groups. So I don't know if you're able to give us a bit of a sense of the uptake and whether or not there's been changes over the last few years. And the second question is about the whole school approach to healthy eating. The questioner has asked if chefs understand why children should be eating the nutritional requirements. So I think you touched on the training that you've done, so maybe you could say a little bit more about that. Thanks.
Yeah. Uptake across the whole of Scotland has dropped since COVID because children were being fed at home, etc. Uptake has dropped throughout the whole of Scotland. I work within groups for soft FM within APSI and assist, etc. And we're all experiencing the same issues. Part of the problem is that during the pandemic and then for a couple of years afterwards, there wasn't that face-to-face. People were worried about coming into large groups of people, so we weren't doing the P1 induction, where the catering managers actually let the parents taste the food, etc. When children of nursery age in some nurseries, they let them bring in their own packed lunches as well, because parents were, there was a kind of myth that you could get COVID, you know, from touching the plate that somebody else had touched, etc. So there was a lot of packed lunches going on in nurseries, etc. as well, and that trend has continued. We are chipping away at it. One of the ways that we're chipping away at it is we've got a big food waste policy thing going on at the moment, where we're working with education, we're working with parents, etc. We're working with the pupils. We're just about to launch a pilot Waste Warrior scheme where the pupils will support their other fellow pupils to clear the plates, etc. So that's all impacted in school meals, and that's why we're trying to increase the numbers again. From the data that we've got, which is via our parent pay system, we are sitting at around about, for free meal uptake in Glasgow at the moment, we're sitting around about the late 50s going into the early 60s. We historically always sat around about 68 to 70%. That does drop dramatically for P6 and 7s because the your paid meals, if it's not free meal entitlement, they're paid meals. We are we have a bit of a strategy going on with parents to say, don't provide a packed lunch, we can do it, and it'll be. We've done some costings. We've got a packed lunch leaflet going out quite soon, which has been updated with updated costs for providing a packed lunch from home, etc. So we are trying really hard to increase the uptake again, and that will sit within our Good Food Nation plan and the Glasgow City Food Plan, etc., just to work with pupils and parents, because quite often it's the parents that we have to educate with school meals. It's not actually the children, because the parents send the children in with packed lunches. We actually have quite solid evidence that we have some parents that send their children in with a packed lunch but also pre-select the meal. So the child's then being able to choose on the day, which is causing food waste. So that's one of the strands of the food waste initiative that we're doing. For the second question about the whole school approach, yes, the catering teams are absolutely clued up on why we're doing what we're doing. Quite often we ask them for their ideas as well. We ask them to go out and campaign with our schools to find out what they want. And so they very much have to know what we have done. Is we have created the 14 standards for primaries and secondaries, and we actually had that out to schools as well, so that we can have it a more simplified. The micronutrients and stuff have been taken out, but we give that out to schools as well. But we send our catering teams the actual standards that we have to comply with, and when they come up with a menu for us, we then say to them, but does it comply? So we make them go away and look at that as well, just as a bit of their development. I suppose where we sometimes have challenges is the perceptions of school food and the stigma of school food. So that's why we like to work a lot with parent councils, etc., to try and get the message out that it is a healthy choice. It's, a sustainable choice with red tractor meats, MSC fish, etc., and locally sourced fruit and veg in the seasonal calendar, etc. But one of our other areas that we support for a whole school approach is our education colleagues as well, because with the new regulations coming out 2020, it clearly states that that's a whole school approach. That sometimes hasn't landed with some SMTs within schools, so we're still we're supporting them as well. So it is the whole school approach, things like bake sales that schools will unwittingly put on, not realising about the regulations, etc. So if they come to me, I can give them all the information they require to make sure that they're complying within the school day. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. Thanks so much, Gillian. And just to add to that point about the whole school approach, just to say that we do work closely with education services at Glasgow City Council, and there is work going on there to develop good food groups in as many schools as we can across the city. In terms of those good food groups, there are a number that are pretty active and some that are just developing. There is a network of good food groups that meet on a fairly regular basis to share their work. But what they're trying to do is integrate food across the curriculum and across the school. So not just thinking about the food provision, but what are the young people learning about food, both in terms of nutrition, but also in terms of food growing, in terms of sustainability. What is the dining hall experience like? These other parts of kind of the food environment at school. So there is quite a lot of work going on there in some schools, less in other schools, and we're working to try and develop that. We hope that a future webinar will focus on some of the really good examples of what is happening in the city. So keep your eyes peeled for future webinars that will highlight that work. Okay, moving on to the next question then. This is another one for you, Gillian. Just a reminder about what kids can eat without limit. This person has a daughter who and her and her friends are hungry, so she'd like to pass on the message to her daughter about what they can eat without limit.
Yeah, as we demonstrated on the menu, it actually sits at the top line on the menu. There is as much soup, fruit, vegetables and bread as the pupil would require. So yeah, that's without exception. I suppose one of the more difficult areas is if we know there's a hungry child. Our catering staff really know the pupils, and if we know there's a hungry child, they will be offered more food very discreetly. So we limit food waste because we try to get the pre-selection numbers as near as possible, but there will always be a small proportion of food for hungry pupils as well. Regarding the question setting the table guidance, it now has aligned itself more to the Food and Drink in Schools advice, but it takes a small step further. Things like there'll be no sweetened fruit-based yogurts now. It will be plain yogurt with some stewed fruit if we wish to add that. So I would say from a menu design and planning stage, it's actually probably made our job a wee bit easier because we launched the early years menu and the primary menu at the same time. So a lot of the guidance has aligned, and we haven't. The new guidance doesn't kick into 2025. But what we have already is analysed the menu we have at the moment, and we would only have to do some very minor changes for the new menu coming out in April 2025. In Glasgow, we're a bit good, so I'm going to blow our own trumpets now. We're a bit good at foreseeing what's going to happen, what's coming across. We can horizon scan, which is very speaky, but we can scan the horizon. We kind of know what's coming over, so things like that there's potentially going to be the withdrawal of ham from sandwiches, etc. So we decided to do that 2 or 3 days before we actually were told to do it, so that we have started where we know things are going to happen. We start to withdraw it with stealth, so that it's not the pupils don't experience all the full scale changes at the same time. So setting the table, we are quite happy with the direction it has gone in.
I'm just going to pass it over to Sue actually in terms of early year establishments. I'm just interested, just to expand on that a little bit, are there many other early years providers that have the Food for Life Bronze Award, or is Glasgow kind of at the forefront there?
Within local authorities, there's quite a number of other local authorities that have the Food for Life Served Here award within their early years. Off the top of my head, and I'm going to have to see if my memory serves me right. So, and apologies if anyone's on the call that I haven't mentioned. So, Edinburgh do in their early year settings. East Lothian do. Shetland Islands do. Orkney do. East Renfrewshire do. And Argyll and Bute, and I think there's a couple of others as well, but there's quite a few. So the majority of them do. What we're finding is because the nutritional standards kind of align, and and often what happens within catering, and Gillian will vouch for this, is that the kitchens that are making the meals for the primary schools will also be making it for the early years sites as well. So it's often quite a lot easier to sort of make the meals for and have the same suppliers, it will be the same suppliers but have the same ingredients and recipes that are going through. West Dunbartonshire is another one I missed off as well, so it just came to me while I was thinking. So yeah, but there's quite a few, so a lot of local authorities find it quite easy, and it really sets a nice pattern as well, sort of from sort of learning as well, so about sort of sustainable food and consuming sustainable food as well, because you're starting right at the very beginning. So a lot of local authorities tend to sort of, you know, sort of have early years and primary school as a nice sort of baseline.
Lovely, thank you. The next question is about playtime snacks, and I'm not sure if either of you are able to answer this, but the question is, how are children allowed sweet snacks if they're sent with a sweet snack? Is this fed back to parents? This is against the guidance. Now, I suspect this is an individual school issue, but I'll pass it to Gillian to give more detail.
Yeah, Jill, it's very much a SMT-based decision within schools.
Sorry, SMT, Senior Management Team?
Senior Management Team within school education, Senior Management Team based within the school. It's very much down to the individual policy of the school. So you will have some schools where they do police the snacks that the children bring in. It can also be due to allergies, etc. If they have a child in a school with a significant allergy, they can send out advice to the parents. So it's very individual to schools. I know that some head teachers will feed back guidance on packed lunches, etc., about what they should be sending and what the parents shouldn't be sending in the packed lunches. And certainly we support that by producing the leaflet that I mentioned earlier. But yeah, it would be lovely. It would be lovely if we had the resource to actually be able to police snacks, etc., and give guidance. We do send some guidance out to parents as well regarding the P1 inductions. We offer some advice on snacks coming into school, etc., because we also have to think about litter as well, because quite often I get contacted by politicians to say that they're worried about the litter in playgrounds, and when we actually go in and work with a school, the litter in the playgrounds actually comes from the playtime snacks, etc. So I hope that kind of touches on some information on it.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful, Gillian. And I think the other thing to say is, that might be something that the good food groups in schools decide to focus on, and work with the young people to themselves decide or learn more about what sort of snacks they think they could and should be having at break time. So yeah, it is very much in a kind of individual school issue. And that is all the questions that we have just now. Thank you all very much for participating in giving us some questions. If you want to find out more about the work of the Glasgow City Food Plan or the work of our partners, you can find that on our website, or you can get it on our newsletter. So you can subscribe to the Glasgow Food Policy Partnership newsletter, and you'll get periodic updates on our work. So all I want to say today is a huge thank you to our speakers, particularly for dealing with the tech problems that we had today and just going with it. So really, really appreciate that. And thank you to you all as well for just running with our slight tech problems as well. Thank you for coming along today. Finally, a special thank you to our Glasgow Centre for Population Health Comms team, who help us with these webinars, and without their organisation skills, we couldn't do this. So we're hugely grateful to them. So thank you to our speakers, thank you for our comms team, and thank you for all our participants today. And enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.